Hello and welcome to something I never thought I'd be doing. A tutorial on map making. My partner, I released Glenleith and my partner wanted me to get that out. Originally it was due to come out this month, like, towards the end of July. um, yeah. Then my partner was like, I should turn this up. Then hopefully, Mike will work a bit better. My partner was like, you know what you should do? Start doing tutorials. I'm like, yeah, that isn't my thing. But then you could show them the process that you go through with making a map. And I'm like, oh, you're indicating I can make another map. Wait, that might be a good idea. Then I've got an excuse to make another map and you can't have a go at me. Anyway, am I going to make another map? No. Sorry. This tutorial is something that I get a lot. Now, back in the day, people would be like, well, how do you make a map? Where, how, you start off making a map, but where do you get your map from? What blank map do you use? And I'm like, I don't use anybody's blank map, I make my own. And for the simple fact being that people who have back in 11, 13 was more, not so much later on, but 13 and 15 definitely, were always, you know, I've got a problem with my map. And they'd be like, yeah, what? And it was normally down to that the way that the map had been made from a blank map didn't work properly. I've always said that the blank map should load in game. That's your first test. Make sure the map loads in the game before you even bother using the map. And what it was the textures wasn't there. Some of the textures wasn't working. That was meant to be there. They're in the editor, but you paint them and nothing would change. And all the files they needed for that particular texture was there. They just wasn't painting. And so it'd be, well, give me your map, and I would use my blank map that I made, export everything that they'd done into my map, base game, and then test it, and they'd be like, there you go, fixed. Now all you gotta do is update all your XML files to work with this, and that was it. So how to make a blank map, doesn't matter which one you use, but I always load the one I'm going to actually take the base game from. I haven't used the Alpine map, so we should use that one as an example, shouldn't we? But I would suggest go into each map, look at the textures, see if the textures are there that you want, and if they're going to be textures that you're going to use. Paint them all on a flat area and go, yep, I'll use that one, I'll use that one. Take note of how many textures are there that you will use compared to overall, how many textures are there, and then do the same for each one. And then the map that's actually got the most textures that you'll use will be the base game map that you will use, because it means it's less work trying to get the other textures to work, because you've got to do you've got to add all of the coding for them to use them. So the more textures you've already got at hand, the better. And we're not going to be adding textures. We're just going to be making a base game map, blank map. So we'll load Alpine. Might take a little bit of time. It varies. Sometimes it loads fast. Sometimes it's just like, no, don't want to do it today. And funny enough, I found GE 9.03 faster than this version of Giants Editor. Just saying. And we will be having another version of Giants Editor, no doubt. Now, blank map. No. Base game map. Yes. we've got everything here that we want. You've got all your buttons up here. You've got your file, you know, um, your edit, your create, view, scripts, etc. And when you come on, you first you will have things like start, yeah, probably. I don't know, but you'll have things like this there, and I just go into view and just turn all the things that you don't want on off, and that'll get rid of all your squiggly lines all over the place, and then you'll have a nice clear view of everything. So that's that part. Now for the actual, we don't need that particular part. We will bring up user attributes because I like that one open. Let's move that over that way a bit. And the same with this one. Don't need it that wide. So you'll go File, New from a new mod from game, and then you'll set the destination to save to. You can change it, I believe. Save changes, no, sorry, you don't. So you don't want to save them changes. And then you choose what map you want to do. Well, I always say go with the one that you've loaded up. Hence the reason. And then I go, yes, okay, to that. And then where do you want it to go? So mine will go to there. So I've already got another folder loaded. And it's saying it'll go to my documents, my FS22 mods, and which I've got there. Nothing in there. Perfect. Okay. I didn't create that folder. It'll automatically create it now. This can take a little bit of time. It varies on how long that takes, but apparently it's done. Now, as you can see, it's changed from the location where it was reading it from, which was the Steam common folder, you know, the main directory, to my documents FS22 mods. Now I go and save that, preparing i3D and then saving it. Now this is my map, basically, my mod map. So what I do is I go you and you. I don't care for, don't want them. Leave the career start point, crucial. Now you've got all this undulated terrain that you don't need. So you can either go create camera, set the height to 2000 and then minus 90 on that, and then go view camera 1. It's that one, isn't it? Minus 90. It's been a while since I set that up. Now you're looking straight down at the top of your map. You're directly in the middle, looking straight down. First off, you want to flatten your map. So how do you do that? Well, this handy little tool here, just change that to 5 a minute. Take a height that you want, change. In here you'll have, your buttons will be add, smooth, subtract. Change one of your buttons to replace whichever button you want. It can be your left mouse, right mouse, or middle mouse button. Take a point. I'm going to take this point. Control R. Now it's copied my height there. Now I can go back to here, go back to the camera, change this to 1500 for me. It's up to you what you want to go by. This is a 2x map, so, and then because I changed mine to the right mouse button, I just hold the right mouse button down and just, you know, drag. Flatten the map. Now if we go back down, perfectly flat. Next, you've got things you don't want on your map. Change this back to subtract while you think about it. Go to this one. Now if you Control R on anywhere that you want. Like, I want the grass texture, so I'm going to go Control R. I need to go and select that grass texture. And then if I paint that, everything's now the grass texture. If you want to do it manually, you go here and then select the grass texture. And we could have painted it all as concrete, for example. Interesting blotches. But we want to keep it with the grass. Now, you've also got foliage on there that you won't want. I know there's no terrain data there, no field textures or anything, but we're actually going to make sure. We're going to right click and anything that might be there, should it be there. Just to be on the safe side. Clear it all. Obviously we were using subtract there. Now we're going to do the same with, you can select anything. We're going to go with grass. And we're just going to remove the foliage that's on the map. Now if you do it right, you can put your mouse in the middle and just do one click and remove it all. I like to do 4. That way I know I've cleared everything. We're not done here yet though. You see, we've also got remove all the farmland ID, because we've got all of that. So we'll go with 1 and we'll paint the whole map that colour. Next we'll go to indoor mask and we'll change that to 0. And we'll right click and we'll remove all of that. Then we'll go to nav collision, hit the 0, delete all of that. Then go to tip collision, 0 again, delete all of that. Then we'll go to tip collision generation and delete all of that. Or generated even. Placement collision generated, we'll also hit the 0 on that and delete all of that. There we go. Now we've got none of this stuff in there. That means that this is now a fully functional blank map. Ready to go. That easy to make. And we'll there, change that back to 5. I know you can use your WASD and shift to move around, like so. Some people like it. I'm old school. I like to use my mouse and the alt button. Just, it's more natural for me to do it that way than this new hold your right mouse button and just, I mean, it doesn't always work. Yeah. So, blank map, new slate, perfect for you to go and do what you want with. Save it. Close it. We've already saved it, so we don't need to worry about that. There's our map. Now, you want to make sure it works, right? You can either cut it from here or copy it from here. We're going to take a copy because we don't want to, we want to keep the main copy because we might want to use it another day. And then we're going to go to our, we're going to stay in our documents even. We're going to go to our mods folder for FS22 and paste it in there. And then we're going to launch our farm sim and make sure that that map's there, shows up, and then make sure we can actually jump into the map itself. There it is. So we go continue. We'll deselect all the mods because we don't want them. And then we'll go start. And we'll see if it loads up. Now there will be one warning that will always come up while it's in this form, and that's you can't play this game, this map in multiplayer. These are all the placeables, ignore them. We'll fix that, that's not done within the map. But if I bring up this, we should have had a warning about, you know, mods have to be zipped up in order to play in multiplayer. Ignore that whenever it comes up there. Zip mods are supported, only zip mods are supported in multiplayer. Basically zip the map up and you'd be able to load this in multiplayer. Oh look, nice train going in mid-air. The future of farming. Floating cows and floating trains. Why not? So we know that that works. Perfect. Now we can, instead of going from the other one, we can go from this folder. But we don't need to go into there. It's in here. And then all of this, you basically just go, don't care for, delete. Save that. Now, if we launch our game again, and we'll get rid of this one because that was just a test save, because we're doing a multiplayer on that map. Deselect all the mods and then launch it. It should load faster this time because there's no buildings to load. No cows, no trains, nothing. Apart from the question mark, but them are done in a different file. Don't worry about them for now. But that is how you make a blank map. If you don't want this starting equipment, then you can go into vehicles XML file and you can literally go between the vehicles there all the way down to the bottom, and don't want any of that, delete all of that. There shouldn't be anything in items, but if there is, you can do the same and just leave the parent brackets. That I never have that in my folder. Benchmark cam path 01. I never have it in there. Should put that on full screen, then you won't see the OBS in the background. Yeah, that's basically it. No warnings or errors in the log, apart from zip the map up and it's supported in multiplayer. That's the quickest, easiest way to make a blank map in less than, well, if I wasn't talking, I'd have done it within, you know, probably 5 minutes, if that. I'd have made a completely blank map ready to start working on. I don't personally do it anymore because all of my maps was made from blank maps, so I just choose one of my maps and then I flatten it and do what I've just done there, and then I go from there. But if I was making a new map that I hadn't made a map prior for 22, that's how I would do it. So hopefully this tutorial has been helpful, and I won't be making loads of tutorials before people start posting, how do you do this, how do you do that. I'm not that kind of way. But there is a person, Shy Wizard, who has done many tutorials on YouTube. Really, really good tutorials. A lot of them are maybe for older games, but a lot of those tutorials are still very viable in FS22. With exceptions to, like, you know, the way that you make animal, or adjust the animal nav meshes and things like that. Them have changed, but for the most part, most of his tutorials are still viable in FS22. I will occasionally do a tutorial on something. I don't know what. It'll be something, but hopefully this one will have come in handy with some of you. And hopefully you get to make a lot of interesting maps for us all to enjoy and look at and play. And until